Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Not My Shop. We're here at the Wizards at Omega Auto Clinic, and we're doing a bit of maintenance to the E92. And of course, I'm sure people are going to flood the comments with, oh, German junk BMWs. I've put about 20,000 miles on this car since I bought it, and it's actually been wonderful. The things that we're doing today are an oil change, because that's a thing that you need to do on cars. We are replacing a coolant hose, which needs replaced because the place I bought it from replaced it, and they used a cheap crap part that, yep, those don't last very long. What else? Oh, I drove through a puddle the other day. We had like historic rainfall. John Ross's house flooded. Mine somehow did not, and I'm sure I'm tempting fate by even mentioning that. But I drove through a puddle, and then my rear right wheel speed sensor stopped working, and then the car dried out and it started working again. So I'm guessing that in the process of replacing the rear control arms and whatnot, I messed up or cracked or bent some of the insulation on that a little too far, and it didn't like it. So I got a new Bosch wheel speed sensor for that. We're low on windshield washer fluid, so I'm going to top that up. And oh, one thing that is actually a BMW issue. Intermittently, I will get headlight errors. Very, very rarely it'll say, oh, your running light's dead, and then the running light is on. Or it'll say, hey, your headlight motors aren't responding correctly. And that could be one of two things. It could be the actual module in the headlights. That's like a $60 part, $100. Probably more expensive now than it was when the forum threads that I read were written. But it's either that, or it's an issue with the footwell module. And I think what happens is the footwell modules in these, it's a dumb name, but really it's a body control module or a light control module. And the sort of flash memory that holds the operating system in those has some issues where they'll just kind of corrupt themselves over time, and Windows will need reinstalled. So we're just gonna plug in the Autel and reflash that entire flash memory chip in the footwell module and see if I continue to have issues or not. It hasn't really affected much of anything. I mean, there was one point where my steerable light kind of got stuck, but then a couple power cycles later and it came back. So I don't know what's going on there. This is just kind of a preventative thing. So I guess we'll start with an oil change. I'd just like to brag real quick on how clean my engine bay is. I, sprayed it off at the, sprayed it off at the car wash the other day, and since nothing's really leaking, it stayed pretty clean. That is the coolant line that we're going to be replacing. It doesn't leak enough to drip on anything. It just kind of, there's a little bit of residue underneath it. And over the last 20,000 miles, my coolant got low enough to throw an error. I actually don't know where the other end of this is. Okay, old filter out. Nothing too wrong with that. Oil doesn't look too terribly dirty, but you know, it's that time. 10,000 miles, 6 months. And everything looks pretty okay on our filter housing. Normal car that needs an oil change things. I gotta say, as unhappy as I am with how many like 40 million 8 mils you have to take off to get the under tray off this car, which is not necessary for an oil change. I'm just doing this so that I can get to that stop leaking on my shoes. I'm just doing this so that I can get to that water pump hose a little easier. Well, at all. It's just straight up not possible with this on. And I want to inspect the water pump while I'm in here, because those typically need replaced at 100K, and I'm about 30K past that. So, you know, I don't think they start leaking, they just seize up because they're electronic. Because most cars, you have a thermostat that controls water flow in response to temperature. But when you have an electronic pump, that's driven by a PWM signal like these have, if your car is hot but idling, you're still not getting a ton of coolant flow. This solves that by just being able to ramp up the water pump speed, depending on coolant temperature, performance parameter, you know, how much have you been flooring it actually, that sort of thing. The thread this is holding on by is thinner than my sanity right now. Come on, come on, there we go. It's not covered in oil, just road grime. That's wonderful. Imagine, on a BMW. Genuinely no clue where that hose goes. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot that I put upgraded sway bushings in here. Wait, did I do that? Tyler, did we put upgraded poly sway bar bushings in this car? I don't remember doing that. No, that all looks great. Cool. All right, so I got the oil drain and the new drain plug in, or the same drain plug with a new crush washer. If you buy the Wix filter, it comes with crush washer and all the O-rings you need. But now, time for what prompted most of this work in the first place, which is my rear right wheel speed sensor, which is in here. Look at all that shiny suspension. Not so shiny anymore, but flashlight. There it is. It's that guy. So that is whatever this is, 4mm Allen, I think. Ender fender liner here. There's some big plastic 10mm things and a bunch of 8s. And you can kind of peel this back. That should have a cover on it, and it should be, I believe, more or less watertight. So that could have also been my issue. But you can see there the plug just goes down, goes through the clippy there, behind the spring, and over to the clippies here on the control arm. Then it plugs in right in that hole there. And I don't know if I'll be able to show you this. Yeah, so there's a tiny little amount of surface rust on the tone ring there. Whether or not that's a problem seems to depend entirely on who you ask. On one hand, it doesn't seem like much, but on the other hand, if we look at the sensor here, we see that there are witness marks on it from it touching the tone ring. I don't see anything else really wrong with the insulation on this. The pins look fine. This is just, I think these are Hall effect sensors. I don't know, there's only 2 pins there. But the new one, you can see what the end is supposed to look like. Interestingly, there were 2 washers spacing this out slightly, so I'm not sure what was going on there, but I'm gonna throw this new one in here. I guess I'll retain the washers, and hopefully I don't have any more problems. Oh, and I was lying. It's a 5mm, I think, not a 4mm. Yeah, 5mm. And these were the shims that were under it. I have unfortunate news. So if we look down that hole, on the right side of the reluctor ring there, you see a crack. That's pretty common. I mean, this thing has 130 miles on it. It was German, so there's a bit of rust going on. What happens is the reluctor rings are pressed onto the axle at manufacturing, and if rust gets under there, it, you know, balloons the steel and expands underneath the reluctor ring and then cracks it, which means that now the reluctor ring has a little bit of run out, and it slaps the sensor. And these aren't factory, these shims here, so someone knew about this, and that was their fix. Yeah, one thing I'm curious about is if I put those under a new sensor, will it still hit? What this needs is new axles, but I can't do that now. Gotta drop, you know, first I gotta get them, and they're like $200, $300 a side, and then to put them on, you know, exhaust has to come out. I think that's about it, actually. So I might toss this in there, screw it down, and give the hub a spin and see if it leaves any witness marks or not, and figure out where to go from there. Okay, well, new sensor wouldn't even like fit in the bore, so I'll need to take this apart again at home and like run a wire bottle brush thing through there or something and order some axles. I meant for that to go in the car. And order some axles and I guess do that another time. Oh, well, back to that coolant line, I guess. Internet says that this thermostat hose, this is what we're replacing. This is the new one. I just kind of set it in here for reasons. This is a thermostat housing hose, ends in what's called the Mickey Mouse fitting. This is a metal replacement from Rain. And in theory, you can access it all from the top simply by moving the coolant housing out of the way. Oh, is there another one? There's not. Okay. Light. Why did I turn it on pointed at my face? Oh, sure enough, there it is. With the clamp facing completely the wrong direction. What are the odds? Problem for later, I suppose. Let's get the actual Mickey Mouse fitting off of here, which also has a clamp oriented in a horrible location. The hose itself looks to be original to the car. Looks like they just replaced the Mickey Mouse fitting itself, and clearly they used a crap one because it's leaking again already. And that clamp is hideous, I hate it. So let's see, flathead to undo the clamp, and then a couple 10mm bolts and dig her on out of there. Everything here is aluminum. There's nothing for me to stick this light to. I can't even. Yeah. Ew. What the hell? That O-ring is effed. That's rock hard and flat.
Wow, that is in the perfect wrong spot.
Yeah. Okay, what manner of horrific nonsense. All right, let's see if I can bring you along for the ride here. So, got the Mickey Mouse fitting out of here. All well and good. Accidentally broke this clampy guy here, which is fine, I guess. But my problem is this hose goes here to this hose clamp, which you might be able to see just past my hand. And yeah, the stuff, the actual thing that I need to get a tool on is facing downward, which is not where I want it to be facing. And there we go. Back on with the hose clamp facing in a reasonable direction. You love to see it. So now this can go back over here, hook the sensor back up, and route that back over there. Slight disaster happened, but I'm sure it's fine. It soaks in. You know, it hydrates the concrete. That's something that you want. Time for fluids. Got Mobil 1 Euro Formula 040. It is freezing temperatures here now, so I'm gonna go with the thin stuff. I think this is just what I run in these anyway. I don't honestly remember. And then coolant. Rain-X all season washer fluid. Because if I park just right, it says I am low. If I remember correctly, these have a simply massive windshield washer reservoir. Holy crap. That just ate a gallon? Yeah, a whole gallon of washer fluid. Thirsty. Fluids are fluidly. Now we just need to go reset the oil light, which is kind of esoteric on these. Hey, there we go. Maximum oil. Sweet. Go ahead and shut this baby off. Throw a wheel on, get it back up in the air, and put that beautiful under tray back on. And I guess I'll order axles when I get home. Yay! Or maybe not, because I don't have the money right now. Well, there we go. Just a little bit of BMW maintenance. Didn't exactly go how I'd hoped. just found more that I have to do. And unfortunately, the exhaust has to come down and do those axles, which means bolts are going to break and the car is going to be down for a while when I choose to do that. So putting that off as long as I can, but if this keeps having ABS issues, when it kicks those errors on, it drives like garbage. Something happens and the throttle response gets really, really, really rough. Like transitioning from on throttle to off throttle, no matter what gear you're in, no matter how fast you're going, just heaves the whole car and it makes it damn near undrivable. So definitely a priority to get that fixed, but for now it's a priority for me to get home and get some dinner. Thanks for watching.